And welcome to the One Conscious Love Network. I'm here with Bernie Woods. We met on Facebook, and I'm so glad that we did because you do such beautiful work, Bernie. Please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everyone how is it that you shed your light in the world?
Oh, thank you, Melanie. I feel like when we had a recent interview with a mutual connection, that there was just that connection straight away. So I feel blessed to have you in my network as well. So thank you for inviting me on this morning. So my name's Bernie Woods. I'm a mum of two from Australia. So it's super early here in the morning, but loving the opportunity to speak with you and Melanie as well about I guess my life and what I'm doing and bits and pieces. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for making the time, for sure. What did you want to share today with everyone about how you're making a change in this world?
Yeah, I guess this year's been quite pivotal for me. And I think that has been a key lesson for me where you can be, puttering along in life and you think, yep, this is the road, this is what I want to do. And sometimes when things happen in life, it changes your perspective on things. And so this is what happened to me this year. So I've always kind of been in the health and fitness industry. I was a PT once upon a time, but I've done lots of different things. I've done distilling, I've done gift boxes, PT, as I've said. I've worked in orthopedics, so I've done a range of things. I am 50, by the way, so it's not like I've got a lot of life experience. But then I had a death in the family this year, which really changed the way that I looked at life. I also had my problems with going through perimenopause as well. As soon as I turned 50, it was almost like a switch had been turned on, which I just thought, hang on a minute, like I'm not ready for you yet, even though I was getting the signs. So, it was a massive, massive shift for me physically and emotionally, mentally, all of that. And so you find yourself in a situation where, well, I actually felt stuck and I didn't know how to get myself out. And as I said before, I'm quite an advocate for health and fitness. So fitness was the only thing that kind of felt like kept my head above water, I suppose, which has always been my thing. I can't stress that enough to people because life gives you tribulation. So it's important to have that one thing or
Right.
people or I don't know, just strategies to be able to help get you out of the mud, I suppose. It's very easy to stay there. Not that you want to be feeling those negative feelings, but they kind of can be quite consuming sometimes. So for me, opportunity just landed on my doorstep around the time that Dad was passing away, and I just didn't have a micro cell in my brain to look at it. And I wish I had have looked at it a little bit sooner. But anyway, things happen at the right time. Um, and so this frequency device had come into my life. And as soon as I looked at it, I thought, yep, this is exactly what I need. Because it wasn't just a physical, but it was a
Mm.
mental support that I needed. And sometimes it's not just a conversation with someone, like it's got to be deeper than that. So for me, it came in at the right time and it literally just pulled me out of the pond. Like I can't thank the opportunity and the girlfriend who introduced me to it. Because I feel like $1 million. I feel like I'm back to me and then some. I did go to the GP at that time to find out if there was a way that I could, support myself out of that hole.
Right.
And I was told to take antidepressants, and that just wasn't really for
Mm.
me. So I found another doctor who put me on HRT, but I've just gone off of it the last couple of weeks because I feel like I don't particularly want that for me and my body.
Right.
So I'm just going to see how that goes because I know that there's so many of us going through that terrible time, and all of a sudden your body, has been amazing and working, and all of a sudden it's not, and nothing's changed. You haven't done anything. So Melanie, you know a lot, probably a lot more than I do in that space. So, I'd love your opinion on that, and how you help your audience and your community get through that stage because it can send you around the twist. To
Yes, it's
be
true.
quite frank. Yeah.
It sure can. And it's good that you found this solution for you. You know, everyone will have their own way to approach it for sure. But it is important to listen to how you feel and to find that peace and calm again and to be able to be thriving through the next 50 years.
And that's the thing, and that's always been my thing as well. I'm 50, I've got at least another 30, 40 years. And so, the thing that I hear a lot is, oh, I'm 50 now or I'm 60 now. This is the way it's meant to be. But I'm just not cool with that. It
No.
doesn't, you don't have to be living in a body that's not serving you and functioning. It's only going to give you what you give it. So, as we age, we're not as sprightly as we used to be. And that's, yes, that's natural aging, but you can do things to support yourself, because this is the time of our life that, we've slugged our guts out for how many decades. Now's the time to be sort of looking into the future and retirement and being able to have the opportunity to travel and enjoy life and slow down, and just, have the opportunity to see the world. But if your body's broken, like,
Yeah.
you can't do that. So, it's that whole health wealth balance. You can't have one without the other. There's one thing about slogging your guts out, but if you're not managing your health properly, there's no point in, if you're going to be in a hospital bed or, linked up to something that stops you from getting on a plane.
Yeah.
Such a huge advocate for that, because I'm heading into that kind of phase of my life, I suppose. And I don't want people to feel like they have to settle with a broken body. There's ways to fix it, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean a prescription, because a band-aid's not going to fix the underlying problem. So, getting back to nature, getting back to basics and naturally healing your body and giving it a bit of a reset, really, just reminding it how it's meant to work. Because I think that's another thing that I find is, people have been sick for so long that it's the norm for them, and they don't know how or what it feels like to feel good. So, for me to be able to introduce something that can rewire the way they think about what it feels like to be good. Just because you wake up in the morning and, your body's creaky and, you have 50 coffees to get, yourself working in the morning, like, it shouldn't be like that. So, there's, technology's changing all the time. So, I'm always open to opportunity. I'm always looking at new things, because the world is changing so quickly. So, um, and we're not living like our ancestors either.
Oh,
The foods
totally.
changed. Everything's changed. We
Yeah.
work in a concrete jungle. We've got all these, waves that are hitting us, with the EMFs. It makes you wonder how our body's actually functioning at all, really. But yeah, so it's exciting to be able to learn, um, about new technology and what it can
Yeah.
do for your body. So yeah, it's
That's
pretty
beautiful.
exciting space that I'm in. And yeah, like I said, I feel $1 million. So it's just nice to feel
That's
like I've got
good.
myself back again. Yeah.
You're talking about your anchors, like when you're faced with the challenges of this year and you had your anchor fitness to turn to and to use, to get that resiliency that you needed. What are some of those other anchors that you noticed have held you and really supported you through your transformation?
Oh, look, I'm the sort of person that tends to retreat. I've never kind of relied on anybody to be able to dig me out of something. It's just, I'm just wired that way. I don't know why. I kind of feel like, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it yourself.
Mm,
Anyway, whether or not that served me or not, I'm not sure. That's open for debate. But for me, it's always been movement, because,
mm,
if you've got oxygen coming through your body and you're moving, regardless of how crappy you feel, it always makes you feel better. So, and I think if people can just, try and look to that and acknowledge that movement is so important for our body, and we're designed to move. We've got legs for a reason, we've got arms for a reason. So, that for me has always throughout my whole life been a non-negotiable. regardless of what's happening in my life. It always takes priority. My kids know that. I've trained all the way through my pregnancies, all the way through, toddler land, which sometimes you just think, how am I going to find the time?
Yeah.
Find the time, 20 minutes, it doesn't matter. Just tick that off on the checklist. You go to sleep at night, you exercise. You can't have life without movement. So that's
Wow.
been my biggest thing that's kind of got me through, and it's always been there. But I've also needed my own motivation to do it, which is good in a way because I find relying on, say, a gym buddy, well, what if they don't go? Then you're probably less inclined to go. So, you've kind of got to give yourself something to um, be the non-negotiable, I
Yeah.
guess, which easier said than done, but it's a learned skill, isn't it?
Yeah.
They say to rewire your brain, or I can't remember, years ago, there was like analogy of to get an exercise right or something. It was like 3,500 reps or something ridiculous. But you can rewire the way you think. If you really want something and if you really want to look and feel good and look after your body, then you can exercise. Like, it doesn't happen naturally. We're not in our 20s anymore when you can eat what you want and lounge on the lounge all day and still look like a string bean.
That's
So,
beautiful. I love it. I love how passionate you are about it when you're speaking. You can really
oh,
see that this is your connection to your purpose.
yeah, it
Beautiful.
definitely is, because I know how it makes me feel and I know how it makes other people feel. So for those people that haven't got that in their life,
Mhm.
this frequency device, I feel, could be a really great precursor, because it does lift you out of this. I don't know, like I went through, I wouldn't call it depression, it was a sadness.
Yeah.
Um, but there was a lot of anxiety as well. I'd wake up at night with anxiety. So, and I don't experience any of that now. So for people who do struggle with, bits and pieces like that, they can't take that step forward, this could just be the precursor to get them moving, to get their blood flowing, to get rid of the toxicity and the inflammation, because that's the first step to, oh, I'm actually feeling all right today. Oh, I might have something healthy for breakfast, or I might go out and get some sun, or I might, go for a quick walk. And, it's like a catalyst of, a knock-on effect. If you start, it will actually make you feel good. And then the next day you'll be thinking, oh, I might do that again. So, I'm hoping that this, for people who are sedentary, or they've got joint problems, or they can't exercise for whatever reason. I've been in orthopedics for a good 13 years, so I know all about arthritis and, immobility. It's depressing if
Very.
you can't move. Yeah, it affects you mentally as well. So
Yeah.
again, it's, finding ways to be able to cut that, or that wire really that's connected to I can't, when it's like, okay, well, what if there is something that could just help me get across the line to
Mhm.
start moving again, physically and mentally. So, for me, it's such an exciting tool that I can see is just going to completely overtake and, consume so many people's lives positively, to be able to have something in your home that you can just tap into. You don't need to go anywhere. You literally just sit on your bum, feet on the plates, 30 minutes, charge up in the morning, and then wind down at night. So, like I said, I can't stress enough how different I feel from 6 weeks ago when I had this land on my lap. So, yeah, it's very exciting stuff.
Beautiful, Bernie. Yeah, it's very inspirational to see the shift in you, and your story is very inspirational for sure. I always ask everyone that comes on, what is one conscious love to you? What comes to mind?
Gosh, do you know, it's funny, when I've been in a couple of different industries before, and the one that I'm in now really does encompass that. I think one conscious love is, you've always got to give the benefit of the doubt to people. Anyone who walks in your life, everyone's got a story, but it's important to always show that love and respect, you know, at the get-go, because you don't know what people are going through. So always be mindful about, more than likely they're going through something, you know, if they're acting out or they're not nice or what, for whatever reason, but you know, show that compassion and that openness and smile and just be, you know, warming, and people will show, you know, more often than not will reflect that to you. So yeah, for me, I just think, you know, everyone's hurting, everyone's got something. So just be mindful of that, and yeah, try and just, you know, give them a sunny, you know, leave a good impression. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say. You want, you know, people to feel good. You know how some people, you just feel lighter when you've left them. You know, I hope that I can be that person as well, because I like it when it happens to me. So yeah, as they say, treat others as you want done to you.
I'm certain that you are, because you're such a ray of light. It's beautiful. Yes,
Oh,
I'm certain that you
dear.
are a very good influence to those around you.
Thank you
I'm
so
gonna
much. I feel the same.
I'm gonna invite everyone to connect with you, because obviously they're gonna be inspired for themselves, but also make a really good friend and a new connection that's meaningful in their lives. So please reach out to Bernie and connect. And I'm looking forward to having you again on the One Conscious Love Network and an event or another interview and any other opportunities.
Thank you so much. That's so generous. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Bernie. Anything you wanted to share before we end?
Oh, just take this time of year and just hug those around you that you love and tell them that you love them, because life is too short.
So true. That is absolute. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everyone.